this. Okay, we are back, and right after I give Bethany this copy of the prompt, we will move on to the next thing we are going to do. Here is the copy of the prompt. Bethany is going to close the door on her way out. Do you not want some pizza, though? Okay. So we're going to go ahead and serve ourselves some delicious Pizza Hut pizza, the official sponsor of MrBrock.net when it comes to pizza. Make sure you go to the Hut. That's right. Take it to the Hut, Pizza Hut, Hut. Damn set. I'm not getting sued. They're in.
Yeah, you're done.
Okay. So, is that going to work? Excellent. Yeah, just curse a lot. Sir curses a lot. Okay, so we are back here to grade another LEQ. If you're only, this is the first LEQ you are looking at, please go back to my LEQ rubric video that we have right up ahead. Some of these people don't understand the get up 2 people at a time rule.
Everyone broke the rule.
So now there's a big horde of human beings by the pizza. I will continue to talk and teach the kids on the YouTubes. So here is our prompt. I'll get a fresh one because I've written all over this one. And it looks a little something like this, which is develop an argument. Develop an argument that evaluates changes in labor systems in one of the following regions within the time period of 1450 to 1900. All right, so we graded an LEQ just a minute ago, and that student wrote a really awesome essay, but it didn't address the changes of labor systems in one of these 2 areas. So before we start back and look at the second one, here's exactly what I would do if I was given this prompt. I would ask myself, what do I know about labor systems in Latin America and the Caribbean? What do I know about labor systems in North America, specifically during this time? Well, here's the good thing about LEQs. They're always over something that your teacher has guaranteed to. If your teacher is, as my mom would say, worth a lick, or any count. Have you ever heard that before? If you're any count, if your teacher's any count, then you will see that this is definitely something they've covered. Okay, what'd you say? Okay. Some of my students are having problems, which is usual. You know, you're a teen, you might have some problems, but all you need to do is find a YouTube video and learn, and you'll be fine. So don't subscribe. Make sure you slap that unlock bell. Okay. So. What do I know about the labor systems here? Well, over here I know about the MITA system. I know about the encomienda system. I know about plantations. In North America, I know about Potosi and mining. In North America, I know about the plantations in the South. If we're going up to 1900, I know about industry. We just talked about industry in the United States today in class. So there's a lot of different stuff I can do with this, but I just want everybody to keep in mind that there's basically 3 things we have to remember. What is the question? When is the question? And where is the question? All right, we got to hit all these 3 things. Now, usually we don't mess up the when because the when is the topic we know about. But if we start talking about Teotihuacan, then we're in trouble because there was no Teotihuacan by 1450, right? And if we start talking about globalization and Google and Amazon in North America, that's a problem too because it's after 1900. So, all that said, let's dive in and look at our second essay for today, okay? And I'll try to keep this. Now, this student likes to write in cursive, which is a terrible idea, and we will go from there. Okay. So here's what we got. Before the arrival of Europeans in the Americas, the area now known as Latin America had its own way of distributing labor. You wouldn't put an apostrophe in the its there. You would only put an apostrophe in the its if it is if it's a contraction. We don't use contractions. had its own way of distributing labor for a functioning society. The Incan Midas system. Okay, cool. That's stuff that was here beforehand, right? Gave every person a set amount of time a year that they would work on the government. The system was fair and kept Incan society together for centuries. And I think that's cool about the for centuries here because right off the top of my head, I don't exactly know how many centuries it was. So I can say that and know I'm okay. Or for a long period of time, I can say. During the period of time, 1450 to 1900, okay, so now they're starting the thesis. Is this context? Okay, let's go to the rubric and see if we can call this context or not. To earn this point, the response must relate the topic of the prompt, labor systems, to broader historical events, okay, historical events, developments or processes that occurred before. Okay? My friends, would you say that's context? I'm getting some people eating some pizza, staring at me like they want to hurt me physically. What did I do to you people? Okay, so I'm getting some greasy nods. Okay? That'd be a good name for a band. The Greasy Nods.
Why? That's not why we were laughing.
Because of what?
The reading. Or like you said, why do you hate me?
Oh, I said, why do you hate me? And they pointed at the reading. That's excellent, students. Make sure you remember that Mr. Brock only does this because he hates you and wants you to feel suffering, and he has no track record of getting kids who have enough brains to care to pass the AP exam, but that's just me. Okay, so, yeah, this kid, they got the context point. And also notice this, guys. That's not a ton. That is not a ton of context. But it fits. It's good. Now, another thing the student did that I would suggest you to do is that it's very clear where the thesis starts. I got a question over here. Where you got? And then this student has taken a large bite of pizza before the question.
So are we supposed to skip lines on this or no?
Yeah, so when you're writing essays for me or for other people to grade, I would say skip lines because we like to write on them. Okay? On the actual AP exam, you don't have to because we're not allowed to write on them. So you don't have to skip lines. That's a good question. So during the time period of 1450 to 1950, change in the traditional labor systems in Latin America can be seen in the abolitionist and the abolishment of the Midas system in the Inca Empire. Okay, that is definitely a change in a labor system, right? Changes in the labor systems in Latin America. Okay, so I would say that this student wouldn't need this again. So basically they could say, can be seen, Midas system in the Inca Empire, by the majority of African slaves in the Caribbean. So I would question this majority of African slaves in the Caribbean because it's just saying that they are there. And I might say the arrival, or I think what the student's trying to say is the demographic makeup. That the student's trying to say there's so many African slaves in the Caribbean. So I would reword that. And then the Haitian Revolution is also the mark of significant change in labor systems in the early 1800s. So later. I say that is definitely a thesis. And I would say be clearer on point 2, because that's kind of vague. Now, but it's still a thesis. I'm going to go and look at the student's class paragraph and see if they reworked that second point. Latin America and the labor systems in their Latin America and the labor systems there may often be overlooked in world history. But once taking a closer look, the rapid and immense changes are prominent. Europeans came and completely changed the labor systems by abandoning the native Midas system while later replacing the native worker population and ultimately, in the end, having the workers revolt and change the labor system so much that the entire economy of the country of Haiti forever changed. Okay, so I would say this is a little better, but I still would have talked more about just the population changing. And then I also want to point something out to all you guys about the handwriting. And this is something that I'm not picking on this student because I was joking about the handwriting. I don't have really any problems reading these words. This is a unique way to write, and I agree it is pretty, but I don't really have any problems on this first page. But you guys saw me struggle in there, and all I'm saying is try your best. You know, you kind of have a choice. Are you going to keep, you know, the way you do it because you feel like you need to keep the way you do it, or are you going to change the way you do it on this paper to make sure you get more points? And so the little bit of stammering that I'm doing is, and this is only the second paper I've graded today. The truth is, if I'm stammering on paper 309 today, and I get frustrated, that might be a thing. Okay, so that's kind of my take on that. But definitely, this student has got the thesis point and the context. Okay, and mostly the reason they have that is because they are directly answering the question. Okay, so let's go into the first paragraph and see what we got. The start of the changes in the Latin American labor system began with the destruction of the Inca Midas system. When Spaniards came to Latin America to overthrow the rulers of the empire and declared themselves emperors. As new rulers, they forced the native Incas to constantly labor for them, which is the opposite of the Midas system that gives everyone time to rest and equal working hours. Okay, that's definitely evidence. Got a question over here. Oh, slide the paper. Very sorry. Down. And fix it.
So what did we do for the mandatory box and the circle?
What is it?
Like the top of the page.
Oh, okay. So we had a question about these boxes up here. This is the DBQ. Okay. Question one is always the DBQ. And then for the LEQ, we get to choose between 2 or 3. What's that? Only one DBQ and only one LEQ, but you get to choose from 2 different ones. 3. But you get to choose from 4.
The rest is just
Yep. Multiple choice. Yep. So that question was about the layout of the test. You've got one DBQ, which is always question 1. You get to choose from question 2 or 3, and you pick one of those. That's the LEQ. You have 3 SAQs that you get to choose out of 4. And you also have 55 stimulus-based multiple-choice questions in 55 minutes.
So how many sections? 2 or 3?
So technically, there are 3 sections because you do the multiple choice, the SAQ, take a break, and then the DBQ and the LEQ together. But since there's no break between the multiple choice and the SAQ, they call that section 1. And then they call LEQ and DBQ section 2.
Did they tell you when my time's up after the multiple choice?
They'll definitely tell you when time's up, and our person that runs it goes right by the book, and you'll be able to always see the clock. You'll be able to see start time and finish times, and they'll give you the right warnings, and everything will be awesome in that regard. Okay. So I'm going to move down here. I'm seeing here that this student knows what the Midas system is. The Spaniards crushed the old labor system, replacing it with their own. The Inca Empire had a communist, I'd say it's communist. It was overthrown by the capitalist Europeans. Oh, well, hold back there, girl. Showing significant changes in the labor systems in Latin America. Okay, now here's the thing. This is a very good argument here because they're evaluating they're evaluating the change. They're saying this is a major change. Look, it went from communist to capitalist. All right. Now, right now, if I had to stop and give this kid points, I could make an argument for giving them both of these points right here. Giving them 2 and 2, and I'm done. But what I need to do is I need to go through the rest of the paper and see if that is supported, to see if they're doing that balance. So through the other 2 paragraphs, if they're doing that, this kid's got a 6. Okay? So, and here's the truth. If they can do that in paragraph 1, odds are they can do it in paragraphs 2 and 3. And some advice I can give you is this, that I have quite often, as I'm grading DBQs and LEQs, I'll write a note on a kid's paper that says, hey, go back to paragraph 2 and write this paragraph like you did paragraph 2. Like, paragraph 2 is perfect. And so that kind of format that we use will help a lot. Guatemala paper will save you something. Okay? All right. So, okay, I see what this student did. So they did one over Latin America here, and now they're going to do one over the Caribbean. So that's cool, because the way the problem's broken down is Latin America and the Caribbean. Now we realize that the student could have just done everything about Latin America, or everything about the Caribbean. But the fact that they've diversified shows us that they might be swinging for these points down here, which I think they are. Okay? So, let's look at the second paragraph. In the Caribbean islands of Latin America, the labor system changed from native workers to African slaves. Okay? Beginning with the African slave trade in the 15th century, the native workers originally used the Europeans' labor systems quickly. Quickly began to die, resulting in the bringing of Africans. Okay, so 80 to 90% black, basically non-existent. So what this student is saying is they tried to take the natives, but the natives died. I would have liked to have seen something about the Great Dying here. That would be something you can just throw in and kind of throw a sprinkle on. But they mentioned the Great Dying without specifically saying what it was. Okay? So that's more of this evidence. By 1900, the population of the Caribbean is 80-90% of, and basically non-existent population of workers. It changed from natives to African slaves in the Latin American labor systems. The people who worked in the labor system showed great change in the systems of Latin America. The new majority of black workers, however, soon caused another huge change in the system. Omga. I'm omging right now because that's like a mic drop, a transition right there, because she's writing about African slaves in paragraph 2, and she's going to write about Haiti in paragraph 3. And all that's doing is making me as the reader who has read bad papers all day. Remember the Florida rule I told you guys about, right? Now I'm like, oh, God bless this child. Okay? So, that's a really good transition, and it's pretty nuanced, okay? And then we go on to the third paragraph. Perhaps one of the most noticeable changes in the Latin American labor system is the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution was an uprising of African slaves in Haiti in 1804, caused the entire labor system to collapse. After the Haitian Revolution, the system's production of sugar was demolished, changing the products being produced from the system. Sugar was no longer being made in Haiti. Oh, I hope they talk about the Jamaica problem. Causing workers to have and produce other products, such as food crops, to be sold, significant change in the system. The system was also changed by who was in charge. The rebellious slaves became their own bosses after they killed and overthrew their European workers. Ultimately, the lack of sugar in the product changed to more laid-back work due to the lack of the forceful superior, caused the entire labor system to collapse in Haiti and destroy the Haitian economy. The labor systems in Haiti changed so much, it forever changed the country. I would like to have seen this student talk about France here. Like, I think they know that was France. But still, that's killer. Okay? So, did the student give example of relevant evidence? Yes. Did they support an argument in response to the prompt? Yes. So, they got a 2 for sure. Later, dude. And did this student use historical context, CCOT, to frame the structure of an argument? Yes. What about the focus of the prompt? Yes. Let's go over here to the points and see. Nuance, yeah, multiple variables. Did they do both a change and continuity? Did I see a continuity? I don't think I did. So I didn't see a continuity, so I can't give them that one. Relevant and insightful connections. Yeah, the connections of the Africans being brought to the islands and then leading the Haitian Revolution, I would agree with that. Multiple perspectives, I didn't really see that. Qualifies or modifies an argument by considering diverse or alternate views of evidence. I'm on the fence with that one too. So basically where I am is there's 5 bullets here. They've got 2. And now here I am. What do? Do I give this kid a 1 or do I give them a 2? Here's why I'm going to give this kid a 2. All right? And you got to realize that, yeah, I do know who this kid is because the handwriting, because she literally just handed me her paper. She didn't do a great job of marking her name out on the top. However, I'm grading this paper like I don't know who this kid is. And this paper made me do this. Okay? This paper made me go, wow, that's really deep. Okay? And so in this one, not knowing who the kid is that wrote this paper, I'm going to give him that point. Okay? And so that's a pretty clear, well, I'm not going to say that's a clear 6, okay? Because there's lots of stuff that this student can do to be more on the 6, closer to the 6. And one is do both parts. And if she did do both parts, I would say do them clearly. Okay? And then another thing is this qualifies or modifies an argument. That's really good for the last paragraph. I had a student just a few moments ago ask me, hey, in the last paragraph, is all I'm supposed to do write the thesis again? Well, yeah, you need to write the thesis again, but throwing in something extra is always a good idea. Something like, where a really good example here would be to go back and give a challenge to the Haitian Revolution and the Jamaica problem. Or no, sorry, the Haiti problem. I'm getting the Jamaica problem and I'm getting the Jamaica letter and the Haiti problem confused. I'm sorry. I'm sure the comments are I'm sure the comments are a mess right now. That's the word I was looking for, mess. So another thing that I would say here is sprinkle or tap dance. I would go through here and I would do tap dancing all the way through, trying to put every little piece of specific historical evidence in that I could. Okay? All right. So that's where we're at. We're at a 6, got a 100. Very good job, very good paper. Not a perfect paper, and that's okay. That was the first one we've ever written. So I'm going to open it up to questions here. Let's see if anybody has any awesome questions. Nobody has any awesome questions? Faith is scared for the questions. Okay. Looks like we've got another one coming up. We're about to go from a 6 to a 1, I was told. So we're about to do our last one. And before that, we'll take another quick break.